So anyway, as I went there, just as I pulled off the training ground, police pulled in behind me, asked me who I was, arrested me.
Welcome back to Talk of the X-Town, the channel where I'll meet with ex-Ipswich Town players, talking everything ITFC. Please welcome my next guest, who made his England under-21 debut against Brazil, where David Beckham also made his debut for the same game. He was part of the squad during the very successful 99-2000 playoff final season, scoring in his ITFC debut against Man City, as well as playing in the Premier League for Town. He went on to move on to Cardiff and then return back to Grimsby Town. Please welcome my next guest, Gary Croft.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Nice to see you all. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. Right, let's crack on straight with the question, shall we? So, what was the main reason for you to move to Ipswich then?
Well, I was going through probably a difficult period at Blackburn Rovers. I'd kind of been under the stewardship and leadership of various different managers and found myself sort of out in the cold. Blackburn had just been relegated from the Premier League. It was disappointing. It's obviously a very disappointing season. And the lad from Man U came in, Brian Kidd, and we didn't particularly see eye to eye. I played under him, in all fairness. I had a couple of injuries. I dislocated my shoulder actually partway through that season. And I missed a number of games, but I was playing before that. And as soon as I was fit, I played again. But the start of the next season, they drafted in that many players, and that I was sort of out in the cold, sort of on the bench. And I was looking for a new challenge. And Ipswich came along, and it had been, and I don't just make this up, it had been one of them clubs that I'd looked at when I played for Grimsby Town. And I thought, what an amazing setup this is here at Ipswich. I'd love to play for a club like this, And the sort of standard of football we play in at Grimsby, I thought the Ipswich fans would love it. They weren't particularly brilliant at that time, Ipswich. They were sort of mid-table championship. But I just thought, what a big club, I'd love to play here. And so when the opportunity came along to come along to play here at Portman Road, it was one I just couldn't turn down. But ironically, the day I got the call to say I was going, I thought I was going to Birmingham City. Right. I had a call during the day to tell me Birmingham City wanted to sign me on loan. The club at Blackburn, they didn't want to let me go on loan. So they went back to Birmingham to say, if you're going to take him, you take him permanently. So I got a call the same night telling me that they told me. I thought, right, that's me gone. And they went, we'll sell you to Ipswich. So I was quite surprised, obviously. So it was good to know that when George Burley signed me, he'd seen me in the reserve game for Blackburn at Leeds. And, I can remember making sure I did everything right, prepare for all games, do everything professionally. So it was good to know that I'd kept my head on and kept a professional attitude and got myself signed on the back of something like that. So, but I was delighted to join Ipswich. Obviously, Ipswich at the time just started that season and it started really well. So it was going to be exciting times, I think, Ipswich.
Yeah, most definitely. And, obviously going forward, you sort of mentioned a few sort of key things there, really, with, sort of your injuries and things like that. And, Ipswich at the time not being particularly, a mid-table team, what to be that is at the moment, with how Ipswich are at the moment in League One, unfortunately. I would definitely take to be a mid-table championship team again over what we're currently in. But, it is what it is. Hopefully with the new ownership and things like that, that will help next season. I don't think we're going to get in the playoffs this season with a few games left, but hey ho, it is what it is, like I said. But going back to your injuries, how do you sort of cope when you had like those sort of long periods of injury when you're not playing?
I mean, it's awful, to be honest, and I had some at Ipswich as well. Some people may or may not be aware of them, but I had a few different things happen there. I can remember coming on as a sub in one game and having such a bad injury. I only came on for 10 minutes and I got done in a 50-50. I actually thought I'd done my right knee. I was holding my right knee. I was in agony. And I looked over and I saw my left knee and I had a gash in my knee about 4 inches long. And I could just see straight through into all my tendons. It kept me out for a little bit. And then I had an injury against Arsenal. I went to sort of side foot a ball back to our keeper just on a gentle half volley, and Titus took it upon himself to clear it at the same time, and we kind of hit the ball at the same time, and my leg nearly went back round me, and I did my medial tendons.
Yeah.
And that was an injury, kept me out for about 6 weeks, and I could do everything apart from kick the ball with my right foot, so I was doing everything left-footed in training apart from being able to play. Just as I got myself fit, I'd done that much on my left side, I'd given myself a hernia.
Yeah.
So I kind of struggled till the end of that season through. We decided not to operate at the end of that season, but within about 3 training sessions of the following season, the season I actually left, I'd had a hernia. I needed a hernia operation, and it was a complete waste of the summer period where I could have got fit. So it was plagued by constant stopping and starting all the time. And, I've had other injuries after that. Even I had a cruciate injury at Cardiff. I missed an entire season. I just signed a new contract at Cardiff and missed the season. Just before I left Blackburn, I dislocated my shoulder as well. There just seemed to be a non-stop stream after having probably the first 7-8 years of my career without any injury at all. I just started getting these things, and there weren't anything I could really prevent either, So it definitely disjointed my career. I mean, I ended up making nearly 450 appearances, which I was quite pleased with overall in my career. But I probably, if I stacked it up, I reckon I missed 3 full seasons through injuries.
Yeah, definitely. And you think it was a pretty decent achievement, like you said, 450 appearances when, self-admitted, up to 3 seasons worth of injuries where you weren't able to play and things like that. But it sounds like, some tough times during Ipswich as well, where you were playing through potentially some tough times where you might not be showing it to the team, to the fans and things like that you're struggling through, really. You mentioned sort of like Titus as well. Like, was there any of the players there that you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of, or you did get on the wrong side of when you were there?
No, I mean, I have to say it was one of the greatest set of lads you'll ever come across, actually, at the time. Everything about the club was right, the signings and the atmosphere, and everything that these signings brought to the club during that promotion year was perfect. George Burley had such a good bunch of lads, and we all got on brilliantly off the field. We all liked and respected each other on the field. There was brilliant discipline, superb professionalism, a great attitude to training, and we knew how to celebrate as well. We knew how to have a good time, and everything about that was, typically British, really. Even the foreigners that came in at the start added to that. But eventually, somewhere along the line, after we got promoted, the signings weren't so clever, and that's when things started to go a bit wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Even at the time, I was a relatively young fan, going to Wembley, watching my favourite period of time of watching Ipswich, from seeing them get into the Premiership and celebrating those. You could see, be it on the pitch, off the pitch, in the media and everything, that everyone seemed to gel really well. And like you even said, that sort of second season, potentially, signings weren't as good as what they could have been, and caused us to not go as well in that season, But thinking back of that, the playoffs and things like that, how was it playing the last playoff game at Wembley? Or the old Wembley?
Well, it was my ambition to play at Wembley, and I always said I'd never go until I played there. I actually did go and watch Grimsby Town in '98 when they won the Auto Windscreens trophy, but I was my only other visit before I actually played. So to finally get the last competitive fixture at Wembley, I think England played Germany, I think after, maybe, didn't they, in the final game, where they lost 1-0. But the last competitive sort of domestic game there was lucky and an honour. I feel very privileged to have had that honour, to play at Wembley, and obviously have a successful day as well. Many people go and don't have a happy day. Yeah. We had the most glorious day ever. The drama in the game, everything about it was just electric. The colours, the red and the blue. The worry of going a goal behind after all them years of near misses 3 previous years of near misses, not even making the final, and then getting there, going behind. The drama was incredible, and then it came back to 3-2, and then just the relief to see Martin Russa stick that one away. He put some glorious finishes away, didn't he, during that season? And that one just nailed it, and we were just, out on our legs. We'd given everything that season, for George Bailey and for the football club. And it was just an absolutely incredible occasion. I'm lucky enough to play in another playoff final and win, and I've lost one. But I think, I got promoted with Cardiff in Cardiff at the Millennium, which was incredible as well. But them 2 days were just phenomenal, and the Ipswich game, everything about it, the drama, the relief, everything, we just felt it. It was a brilliant time.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I'd be biased, with being a Town fan anyway, but yeah, the atmosphere was amazing. Even from being sat 3/4 of the way back behind a pillar, seeing half the pitch, with the old Wembley, it was great, and it was exactly what you'd want in a playoff final. Probably not as a player perspective, I guess, but you want it to be a nice, easy game. But from a fan's perspective, neutral wise or anything like that, it's probably one of the best playoff finals for a long period of time.
Yeah. I have to say, my legs had nearly gone at the end of the first half. It was one of them atmospheres where it soaked it out of you. I don't think we played probably as well as what we could, but I felt like I'd done a 10-mile run. I just felt so heavy legged and tired, and we just kept going. But it was the atmosphere and the tension. I certainly felt that atmosphere that day, and the players all felt that for the fans as well. It was a genuine kind of like, let's do it for the fans type game. It was like more than just us. It was the seasons that had gone on and on. Everyone had felt it, and quite a lot of the players had been in it as well as us new players. A few of the players had been there during them playoff matches where they'd missed out. So for them as well, it was huge. But we were such a collective during that season and that day that I just think we were unbeatable, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree, definitely. And to think back today, obviously it's going to be probably one of your highlights of being at Ipswich and things like that, but sort of spinning it on its head, talking about potentially some more difficult times. What would you say was a more difficult time when you're at Ipswich, bar sort of the injury side of things?
Well, we know what we're talking about here, don't we? Obviously when I arrived at the club, I got myself in a bit of bother, and it was silly. It's really silly, really. I think I got made an example of quite heavily, but the circumstances which people don't know is probably what I could tell them now. What happened was I'd gone down to Ipswich to sign, and because of my desiccated shoulder, it meant they wanted a scan on it, and I had to return down to Ipswich on the Monday. So I asked my agent to take me. He took me down the first time. He couldn't take me back on the Monday. I had to be in London at 8:30. And I thought to myself, I'm going to get down there. I'm desperate to sign. So obviously, sillily, they thought, well, I'll go in my car, I'll get down to London, I'll get me scanned back to Ipswich, and I'll be ready to train. I knew my shoulder was okay. I played at the end of the season. So that's what I decided to do. And I'd had a new car. It'd been sat on the drive. My friend had been driving it for me. He was a pro golfer, and he'd been driving me around everywhere and everything, but he couldn't come take me down on the Monday. So anyway, I got myself down to Ipswich, London first, passed my medical into Ipswich, and then once I'd been there about 4 or 5 days, people kind of like asked me when I was going to take my turn to drive to the training. I kept saying no, I'm not driving. And I was in the hotel every night. So one night, I'd had a walk to the restaurant just opposite Pal's that I was called some Italian, and there was loads of people about, and I'd been in the hotel for like 5 days, and I thought, so well, I'm going to jump in my car, I'll have a quick scoop round and see where's where. So I drove round from the Novotel, and everyone will know where I'm talking about. Yeah. And I went to drive past that Italian in front of Pal's. Well, as I got halfway across there, a police car came the other way, and I'd only driven 150 yards.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, what are you doing down here?" And I said, so I'm just having a look around. He went, oh, right, okay. Well, you're not allowed to drive down there. This is buses only. I went, oh. I said, I didn't know. I'm sorry. He said, pull over there. And I was like, like, oh my God, what have I done here? What have I done? So I pulled over into the bus station, and I was sat there thinking, what am I going to say here? And this police car came back round, and he said, is this your car? And I went, yeah. And I went, hold on a second, let me just. And anyway, this drunk had been hanging around, and he'd seen him about 3 or 4 times. So he dealt with this drunk, came back to my car, and in that split second, I thought, if I tell him this is my car, I'm in trouble. So I decided to say it was my friend's car. Well, I decided to say it was Gary Croft's car. Yeah. But I was Gary Croft. And I said it was my friend's car, Gary Croft, and I was my friend instead. He said, okay. I then gave him my friend's details. And I asked my friend to take documents in to just just to prove who he was. And I did say to my friend, I said, look, I've got myself in a situation here. You can either do it or you don't do it. It's up to you. And he did. He decided to do it. And that was fine. Everything was fine. That was all right. So in a sense, we got away with it. But I just thought, got away with that. Yeah. What am I thinking? Don't do that again. Lucky escape. But so anyway, nothing happened then. Until the following Sunday, I made my debut against Manchester City on telly. Obviously, I scored a goal. There was a bit of a deflected effort, but you've got to claim them, haven't you? So it went in. It went in. It was on telly, and everything was such a good start to my career at Ipswich. And I put that behind me and thought that was it. Anyway, the following week happened, and the lads were all buzzing for me, and they were like, Crofty, when are you going to bring your car to the training ground? And I thought, all right, I'll take my car to the training ground. I thought I'll just give it one run, do my turn, and then that's it. Nobody knew that I was banned from driving, and I should have just told people. But so anyway, as I went there, just as I pulled off the training ground, police pulled in behind me, asked me who I was, arrested me, and that was that. And it so happens, I mean, this is how unlucky I am. So I drove 3 times, and got pulled over twice out of 3 times. It's like incredible, really. So obviously that was a terrible start, and everything that followed on from that was just a disaster. And the policeman who sort of made the arrest said that he'd seen my picture in the paper on the Tuesday. That's how he recognised me. Right. So basically, if he hadn't scored on my debut, he wouldn't have only scored 10 in my career. Yeah. But obviously, my pitch was all over the paper. And he said to his wife on the Tuesday, so it wasn't even the Monday's paper, it was the Tuesday. So he picked it up, he went, I recognise him. She went, don't be silly. No, you don't. He went, I do. I recognise him. I think I pulled him over the other day. So, that's how it sort of happened. And obviously after that, no one was harmed or anything. And because I got, I took the News of the World to court because they said that I'd been drink driving and won a case and won some money off them. No one got hurt or damaged or endangered by what I did. It was stupid, but I certainly didn't deserve what I got. No. Which was far too strong and I made an example of. So it was obviously it was a shocking start, but I carried on and I continued to play. Yeah. I had a month on holiday somewhere, and then I came back and we finished the season brilliantly. Really, we probably had the highest 3rd place points total on record. I think we had something like 87 points or something crazy like that. Would get you win the league with it most years. That sort of total. So you just felt like it was our year. Well, you felt like it had to be our year. If that year, but they were the low moments, obviously. From my point of view, and it did tarnish my time there. I didn't, it did put me on the back foot quite a lot. Didn't like it. I'd never been in trouble with anybody ever for anything, ever. And, it kind of damaged my confidence a bit, I think. But the lads were amazing. The lads were truly amazing. They took a mannequin of me on the Christmas night out because I wasn't there. Oh, okay. And they were just they put a shirt on this mannequin and took me out on the Christmas day. So it was amazing. It was a really good time. But obviously, I wish it didn't happen. I wish that part of it didn't happen. But you can't take it back. And I took what was given to me on the chin. I never once felt sorry for myself or wanted sympathy from anybody for doing it. It was one of them things that I had to own and get over. But it was a shame, a real shame. I think it probably helped cut short my career there in a way. It just unsettled me a bit.
Well, definitely. I appreciate talking about this sort of thing. It's something that I'd always be concerned about wanting to talk about, because I don't know obviously how yourself or others would react in regards to talking about it or things like that. Even being a young person at the time when it obviously occurred and things like that, you'll get different biased opinions based on what you've read in the media, what everything else and things like that. So I'm sure it not only gives you that opportunity really to sort of voice actually what has happened from your side of things, and I totally agree. It's because you were the first one to really be made that sort of like object of, you've got that real sort of thicker book really thrown at you in comparison to what has then happened afterwards. So,
at the end of the day, I don't ask for sympathy.
No.
I'm not one of them people who will feel sorry for myself. It's old news really now, and no one really cares much. But if anyone ever wants to talk about it, they can hear this story. This is the correct version of it. It's not particularly that interesting. There's been a lot of people done a lot worse than me. Like I say, I was harshly treated, but I put myself in that circumstance. I put myself out there. So I owned it, got on with it, and people want to talk about it now, I'll talk about it, because it's just something that happened. I can't take it back. Ultimately, I went on and had a decent-ish career, and had success at other clubs as well. But one thing it can't do is take away the memory of what happened, and not only that season, but the season after, when we did well in the Premier League, which was incredible. The season Ipswich had in the Premier League was phenomenal, and we had a very good, very strong squad. I didn't always play all the time, but I felt like I contributed, and we had some very good players who remarkably had just as terrible a seasons the following season. But I think the squad got ripped apart. Too many foreigners came in on big money who weren't good enough. I think, George was a brilliant manager, but I think that season he got it wrong with quite a few foreigners. It was a time when a lot of foreigners were coming in and just milking the clubs. I think Ipswich was one of them that got done by a few players. And it was a shame, really, because it broke up that sort of British element to it, which had been so successful. I didn't know why they were breaking it up, because it'd done so well the year before. It was so strange why they decided to break it up like they did the following year, but they did, and that's all history now.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you in regards to that I sort of said it before, really, about them being very much like a family sort of esque orientated sort of club, where you could sort of see where all the players' sort of history and things have come from, and there's connections from player to player and things like that. Whereas that was sort of trying to emulate something that, what you'd see in like Man City now, where you just go wherever you can pluck players from wherever and just expect them to gel because they've supposedly been decent in another country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It sort of fell apart, which was a shame. But I don't think anyone can detract from George's success.
No.
He was a good manager, and all good things come to an end. But to go from fifth in a Prem to relegation should never have happened. That's a bit of a shame because they haven't been there since.
No, it's only gone the opposite way, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, if only to have, the squad that we had when you were playing, I think it'd be a very different story for us right now. But, as I said earlier, it is what it is. And next season.
Yeah. Yeah, these things go in cycles and, they'll be back without a doubt. But it's taken Sunderland a while. Yeah. And some big teams down there. I don't know what's happened to Ipswich. They've just sort of fallen away, haven't they? They looked so strong early on, and I don't know what's happened exactly. But certainly it's surprising to see the way they fall away, especially recently. Yeah. Having some real bad results. I'm seeing 3 and 4 goals go in, like decent scores going in against them as well. It's almost like people's heads have just gone. And I don't know if they're missing some players or what, but it's a big club. It needs to be back up. Minimum championship, and it could be one of them clubs who has several good years in the Prem, maybe drops out but goes up again. It'd be nice to see a club like this established. There's no reason why not. It's got a good fan base. Yeah. The likes of Southampton do it on a similar sort of fan base. So I think they could do it at Ipswich, but it's a way off now, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately so. But who knows what will happen? Are you still in contact with any of the boys who you played with at Town?
Yeah, I mean, it's all social media now, isn't it? So obviously Matty Holland, he's all over Instagram and everything, into and we have exchange words. Jim Gilton, John O's on there. I see John all the time. And Marcus Stewart, now and again we speak. They're the main people who I was good buddies with, really, when I was down there. I'm trying to think. I follow everyone's career. I look to see where everyone is. Tony Mowbray and Marvin is together, and Jamie Clapham. I hear stories because I know people, so I know what they're all sort of doing. Wayne Brown, obviously, I saw him the other week at Colchester when they came up. He was in charge of them. So John McGreal again on social media. So it's just see what everyone's up to. Social media is brilliant for that kind of thing. But we're all spread out around the country.
Yeah,
I'm back up here in Grimsby now and quite far away. So. But remember all of the lads and the club really fondly.
No, that's really good. It's very similar to what I've sort of noticed with other players. It seems that the club looks to keep in contact with ex-players, looks to make sure that there is that sort of family element, like we sort of discussed earlier, really, which is quite nice. And like I said, nice and easy with social media to keep in contact, see what everyone's doing and things like that, which is always nice, as well as from
we all missed out on the reunion last year. It was a 20-year reunion, and there was all big plans, I think, to get everyone back together, but it didn't happen. But maybe whoever's in charge, that might get everyone back down there again. I don't know. Maybe get our boots on, or I don't know. But it was be interesting to see the size and shape of us all when we go down there. But real good club, a real good club. Like, I don't know about the new owners either. I follow Grimsby Town now. I do the radio for Grimsby, and we're getting new owners up here. And I know that everyone's looking forward to that, a new era. And perhaps that's what Ipswich needs: new owners, new leaders to take them forward. And sometimes it can reset everything. And it's perhaps what they need down there at Ipswich too.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, exactly that. Just a bit of a shake up in the system, which could help out with making bigger changes and things like that, I guess. Thinking back to when you were obviously at Town and things like that, I sort of always noticed with every club that players or staff and things like that point out someone that might not be in the forefront of their player wise. There's like an unsung hero, be it a groundsman, be it a staff member or things like that. Was anyone sort of stick out in your time when you were at Town?
Well, I mean, I fondly remember like Dale Roberts. Obviously, bless him, he's passed away, hasn't he? But a real good, honest bloke who took the reserves and worked hard and was always there. He was a good right-hand man for George Burley. He was a good lad, but they had good backroom staff throughout. The physios were good at the time. I thought the chairman was a nice fella as well, actually. Sheepshanks.
Yeah.
He was very chatty. He gave everybody his time. I don't know what everyone's thoughts are about Sheepshanks. I don't honestly know, and I don't even know if he's still at the club or he's left the club or what. But he was a nice guy. So it set the tone. He'd come wandering about and he gave everyone his time, and that's what made the club really good. Everybody spoke. It didn't matter who you were. Everyone was a team. You know, the people who would let people into the reception were part of the team. Everyone said hello, and everyone got said hello back to. The players respected the kit men. Everyone that was part of it contributed and felt part of the team, which is what makes anything work. You know, if you feel like you're all part of it, you all own a piece of it, you all get behind it, and that's what made the club special at the time, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with, like you said, with sort of Sheepshanks and things like that, you know, I think at the time there's probably some big sort of opinions, be it pro or negative and things like that. But again, you know, you see certain things like we sort of discussed already in the media and things, and that could easily sway someone's opinion straight away, even though you've never met the person or things like that. You just automatically have that judgment. And the same with like the backroom staff and things like that as well. Potentially in more modern day football, you see all the players walk in with their headphones in and don't acknowledge anyone, let alone their own teammates or things like that. It sort of potentially loses that camaraderie between the whole sort of ethos of a club, really, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, some people do these performance tapes and want to get in the zone and stuff, and that started to come in a little bit towards the end of my career. Before that, I'd like, get your headphones off, stop being an ignorant prat, get involved with your teammates. But then as sports science comes in and these things get introduced, it becomes more acceptable for them players then to put them on. And if some guy's just listening to music, that could be his way of getting focused. You know, it's difficult to sort of argue and say he can't do it if that's what he does to prepare.
Yeah, of course.
Because if he gets it right on the pitch, no one's going to argue. But obviously, there is a time and place where, you know, you stop being that person. You know, after the game, your earphones are off. You engage all the people that have helped you, and realise, you know, how lucky you are to be there yourself, and who's working hard for you. Give people thanks, recognise people's work. It's not just about the players. It takes a lot of people to make a successful team, a successful club, including all the people that work there, the players, the fans, the board, everybody. It's a combined effort to have a successful club. And, you know, as long as players are doing that, then, you know, if they have preparations for games, you have to respect that too. You have to let people do that. But yeah, they need to remember who pays their wages, and, you know, and to be thankful for doing what they do, because you know, we're a lucky bunch. I mean, we work hard. It's not easy being a professional. You can't just be a professional footballer. That's why so few people make it. But you know, we need to respect it, and, you know, respect the people that come and watch and pay money so you can live your life.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's sort of touched on quite a good few points there, really, to sort of realise as a fan that it isn't, you know, that you're all human beings at the end of the day, and you know, be it whatever thing you do to prepare in whatever you do, you know, be it on the drive to work, if you listen to music, whatever, that's your own preparation for your own work and environment. But sort of thinking about that, did you have any preparations yourself, or any superstitions that you would do before every game or anything like that?
Not really. No. I like to be sort of out the tunnel towards the front, just towards the start. But if someone, you know, had that thing where they needed to be out fourth or fifth, I'll be like, yeah, go on then.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you know, ain't going to make them really perform any better. But if it gets them in the right mindset, I was always focused. I knew what I wanted to do. I think I was relatively nervous most games, but that's how you need to be when you go out. You know, you need to be able to sort of be on edge and stuff like that. But so I didn't have nothing really. You know, I'd do the same sort of routine out, training, you know, warming up, and then your shin pads go in, and then your boots. But it wasn't a religious thing. You know, if it didn't happen, I wouldn't panic. You know, like a lot of them do. But you know, so there was a few like that, but probably more so now. I reckon there's probably loads of people with certain ways they've got to have things. You know, fussy little princesses who can't perform if they don't put the socks on the right way around, or don't do things at a certain time. I don't believe in too much of that.
Yeah.
But if they think it helps them, then leave them sort of to it. I'm a bit more old school.
Yeah, same.
Because I'm so old.
No, I agree. I don't see that, putting your left boot on before your right, or, touching the door before you go out or anything like that is going to make you perform any better or worse. Or if you've missed it that day, that's why you didn't score that day and you've scored every other game that you've done that, or things. So, but again, it's all about focus in the mind and everything else, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, most of the lads were very of similar ilk at the time when I was there at the club at Ipswich. We all kind of like just good, honest professionals who worked hard for each other, who wanted to be teammates, who looked after each other, who would have each other's backs, understood each other's games, respected each other, and we would throw the bodies on the line for each other. That was what it was at the time at Ipswich, and they are the things that make you successful.
Yeah, definitely, and that is, isn't it? Knowing that, same as with any job, isn't it? Knowing that the person in front of you, behind you, to the left, to your right, has got your back and is going to support you in whatever you're doing. So, yeah, definitely, you can tell with that, with throughout the season, and seeing the different players, be it again media, be it not to them as a fan or anything like that. So, yeah, definitely, and sort of thinking about back to with the things in your mind and things like that. I've sort of noticed there's more of a sort of focus with like mental health and things in football as well at the moment, which seems to be good, because it, again, with being male or things like that, it might not necessarily be spoken about as much. Like, was there anything in place, if you guys weren't sort of in the right headspace or were struggling or anything like that at the time, football wise?
Yeah, there was in the sort of second season after got promoted. I think they got a guy in who did hypnotherapy and all this type of thing, and that's not me, unfortunately. I was not really getting on, but I'm quite pragmatic. I can put things in the right spots. I can understand things, and I can, I think I'm quite sound, and I think I'm quite good at helping other people be like that. So I didn't really need that. For me, it was a bit like I don't need that, but some people do, and I totally respect it. People do need to talk about stuff, but we all just need to talk more. I think that's ultimately what it is. Everyone's just so focused on their own stuff now. They don't care as much about other people. They don't ask the questions. And it's only about talking more, talking to each other and listening, and not just hearing it, but listening. It's like listening for the problems and caring. And we all probably just need to care a bit more, genuinely care, not just sort of, you all right, mate? Yeah, fine, right, great, I'm off here doing this. We need to be, and that's what a lot of it is. It's just talking, and when people go beyond a point, they might need hypnotherapy and stuff to get it out of them. And obviously, people have got things that have happened to them in the past that they need to talk about that could be affecting them. So it's a big thing in football, certainly. I mean, a friend of mine, Chris Barker, committed suicide a year and a bit ago, and that was tragic. His daughter found him, and he'd been suffering, and no one had any idea. He was part of the promotion-winning team that Cardiff had at the Millennium, and he had a good job. He was an under-18 coach somewhere, and he had a daughter. I think he had a girlfriend, and he had money in the bank, and so we definitely all need to talk more and listen more and look out for things a bit more, because it's coming out of football's hard. It is hard, for some people. They don't know what to do and find it difficult to find where their place is. People stop caring as much as they used to about who you were, and some people are bothered by that. So we need to pay attention to it without a doubt. And some good things happening in and around football and in general, really, about mental health. And I think the more that we can do about it and the more awareness we can bring to it, the better.
No, definitely. And obviously, first of all, sorry for your loss, for your friends. It is a difficult time. I'm personal to that as well. Exactly, similar sort of situations happened to me when I was younger. A close friend committed suicide and had no idea. Exactly the same. You sort of comes out of nowhere. And again, probably in the last 12 months with lockdown and everything else, it sort of makes you think about these things a lot more than probably you would put your time to sort of think about it, you know, which hopefully is going to be a good thing come, you know, whenever this sort of will hopefully end in June, you know, and people will take the time, you know, even just walking around where I am, you know, people seem to be saying hello and things like that more, you know, in a stranger sense. So let alone, you know, with closer friends and things like that are taking more time to make sure they're okay and vice versa, you know, which is all you can ask for really, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's the world we live in a little bit. Everyone's a little bit worried about who the person is, you know, because we're watching too much telly and you don't want to tell anyone anything and say hello to people or invite trouble.
Yeah.
So people keep themselves to themselves, but we need to open our arms a little bit and, you know, look out for people a bit more.
Yeah, and have that understanding, you know, like we said earlier, you know, people have a past, people have things that have gone on before you've come into their lives and things like that, but that's their life, you know, and the thing to do now is make sure that they're all right now and be that supportive sort of person, really, you know.
Yeah, well, it's just people say, don't it, just be kind.
Yeah,
it doesn't cost nothing, does it? You know, manners and being polite and being kind, it just costs nothing.
Yeah,
to just be like that, and it can make the difference to people. And you know, it bugs me when people don't have manners and just can't just be nice. You know, how difficult is it? Just speak nicely. Just be nice to someone. You know, once a day, twice a day, whatever you do, go out your way. Makes you feel better yourself. Yeah. You know,
exactly.
But, you know, if we can all do a little bit of that, the world will be a better place.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like you said, once or twice a day, it doesn't. You think, oh, it's just saying hello or whatever. That might be the only person they speak to that day, or things like that. You know, as simple as that. You know, makes you feel better, like you said, and a nice individual win for yourself. But that could be massive for them. You know, which is amazing. You know, but hey ho, that's the world we're living in, and hopefully it will wake up and be better. But
yeah.
Probably the last question. We sort of touched on about you obviously talking about Grimsby and things now. Have you had any interest in going into like coaching or managing yourself or anything?
Well, I did 2 years with the youth team. Well, not the youth team, but the youth setup at Grimsby. But to be honest, it wasn't very well run at the time. It's very well run now under Neil Woods. But at the time, my lad hit about 7, 8 years old. I decided to leave that. Even though I got my B license and everything. Gym, I got my B license at gym, ironically, in Ireland. And I coached my lads team for about 5, 6 years. So I've done all the age groups all the way through, and I would have loved to have got involved, to be honest. But I started another business, property business, and it's taken up all my time really since. And that's kind of gone from strength to strength. So I've kind of been quite focused on that, but always loved my football, and I've been doing radio commentary for all the Grimsby Town games this season. And obviously that's been a torrid season, but I've enjoyed it. It's a whole new sort of setup. I've been the proper full guest commentator this season, so I've seen all the games. I've enjoyed that. I'll probably do that again next year if they want me back. And so I've got my arm in there, and I do love the club up here, actually, Grimsby. It's kind of where I am now, and it means a lot to me, the club and the people and the fans and everything. So I want to see them get back up. But as for me coaching, maybe one day, I don't know. You know, I'm getting on now. So we'll have to see on that one. But for the time being, I'll just keep watching and sounding like the best player in the world from up in the stand, because it's easy from up there.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy that. It's good fun.
Yeah, definitely. Like, well, you never know. You've got the new manager. Where is it? What's his name? Thingy Mason in the Premiership.
Paul Hurst.
Well,
Paul about?
The guy, was it Tottenham? Thingy Mason.
Ryan Mason.
Yeah, Ryan Mason. There we go. He's only a year older than me, so he's like 30, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You could be the opposite, be the first to, you know, managing to go in the other end of the spectrum.
Pensioner manager. Yeah, well, you know, who knows? No, I'm never going to say never, but I've got Paul Hurst, and I want him to turn things around first and get get the team back up if he can next season. Big challenge. But hopefully it'd be nice to see them come up and Ipswich go up.
Yeah.
Cardiff go up, all my former teams. All want them all to do well. Tony Mowbray at Blackburn also. You know, so always look out for all of them. You know, you never forget who you played for. I had good times at all my clubs. So I like them. I like them all. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a nice sort of end note for our little chat this evening. So thank you very much for being my next guest on Talk of the X-Town, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. All the best to you.
Cheers.
Up the tractor, boys. See you later.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
All right.